5 of you listening to my voice right now. This is Muta Scale Radio. Thank you all for tuning in. You like you had much of a choice in the matter. I'm your host, Mr. NSFW, and I'm here with a breakdown of the week's WWE events and with a rundown of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which was tonight. Though it was actually last night by the time you're listening to this. Details. Anyways, lightning fast speed run of the week's events, because I'm sorry, Raw was pretty well garbage. The segment of the pull-apart beatdown that happened first thing of the night between Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe was so good. Watching Joe actually bring it right to him, you have a big fight feel coming from it. And I'm excited, even though I have a really bad feeling, even though there's rumors that if it does well and it sells well, they will not make this a one-time thing. I just have a feeling with Braun Strowman making his comeback soon and Roman Reigns there's really not going to be any way we're going to avoid having this be a one-off. But hey, let's hope it's one hell of a ride if that's going to be the case. There was another bit on Raw where Bayley was doing an interview with Corey Graves, and I know there's a lot of talk of like the adultifying of Bayley's baby character, making her finally kiss a boy, and that's going to turn her into something completely different. I have a strange conspiracy thought on this, and I think she's actually going to go almost like a Mick Foley route, where she gets a sort of split personality, and that becomes her edge, her badass, her violent side that ends up like, hey, I'm not Bayley anymore. I'm not getting paid for it, so I'm not going to come up with a name for them. I mean, odds are it's probably just going to turn into she's going to fall in love with the boy. Corey Graves is not a bad-looking man, so I guess it's alright, but I'm pretty sure she has a boyfriend. Not that that matters, because still real to me, damn it. But, I don't know, obviously, just like with everything, we will see where they go with it, as long as they fucking go somewhere with it, because I'm tired of them not going anywhere with anything. Really, that's all I can remember from Raw. I will level with you folks. I watched the Hulu stream of it the night after, and it cuts the 3 hours down into an hour and a half. So I do miss chunks. I do read reviews and things like that the night after or the night of, and just to get a grasp of things that maybe I missed, and then I find a way to see it. But generally speaking, the mutual consensus is I'm not missing much, so I don't bother. I mean, I get to see most of the highlights at least. I do the same thing with SmackDown, but instead of SmackDown being an hour and a half, it is about an hour and a half out of a 2-hour show. Not bad, because that actually cuts out a good chunk of the filler. I do miss a couple of matches here and there, I guess, but it's okay. I'll live without them. Unless I read and find out that they're a huge deal, in which case I sad panda about it. You know, it's kind of sad. As of right now, I'm having a really hard time remembering anything that really wowed me at SmackDown. Wow, really am. Can't. I knew there was something I was going to talk about. I was going to mention that Mr. Brobro, Mobro, Raleigh, Brobro, he cut a promo talking about how the loss was devastating to Jinder Mahal last week, which was fantastic because it actually put some emphasis on wins and losses meaning something, which is something that WWE has been sorely lacking in. He also mentioned that, he was meant for better things in that, and he's much better on the mic than I would like to give him credit for, because his super hype bro shtick annoys the piss out of me. But it actually, his promo style works when it's like this, because he's talking to you and it doesn't sound scripted. It comes off as this is genuinely what Mojo is like, and I can tolerate that. Now, if only he didn't suck at every other department. Every single other department. There was a bit of modern day Maharaja in the ring, talking shit about Randy Orton and all of the people that support him and all of the people that he's going to embarrass him in front of, and mentioning this. And of course, Orton's music hits, and they're all like, let's watch the entryway because this is where he's going to come from. And they're ready to stop him and everything. He slithers in. That's a play on the fact that they call him the Viper. comes in from underneath the ring and decides that he's going to, RKO out of nowhere. And I say again, it's not out of nowhere anymore. It's just not. I mean, when it does end up happening that way, then I will mark out super hardcore about it. But until that point, it's not out of nowhere. It's just not. End of the night on SmackDown, there was a 6-man tag match with AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, and Shinsuke Nakamura against Baron Corbin, Kevin Owens, and Dolph Ziggler. So obviously heel team versus face team and everything. And there was a bit early on where Styles and Nakamura are discussing their plans in the back, and Styles is trying to play off the fact that Sami Zayn is a bit of a geek. And he's like, all right, he comes in and he's like, he talks a lot. I just want you to know that. And he comes in and he does in fact talk a lot, and he's all super excited. And he's like, we're going to win this. We should strategize. And oh wait, maybe they're strategizing, and et cetera, et cetera. And then finally he goes for a high five, gets nothing out of it, and then leaves celebrating the fact that they're going to celebrate their victory later. And Nakamura says, I like him, with a bit of a questioning look on his face. The problem, I like the fact that they can show that Nakamura can have a silly side, because if it's too serious, it's too serious. You need to be able to play it up a little bit. The problem is, we're getting dangerously close to overexposing Nakamura. Not that there's a problem, not that there's like a flaw that I'm desperately afraid is going to pop out. It's just too much of him becomes too much of him. The more you see of something, the more stale it can become, especially if it's going to be watered down, which he has been, because he has to conform to the main product. Now that Vinnie Mac is running the show, he has to toe the corporate line. He has to be softer with his strikes. He has to be gentler with his overall attack, everything. He needs to mellow stuff out. He has done a bunch of Kinshasas lately. I'll get more onto this in a bit. And they've all looked like garbage because he's not putting any oomph into them. He's just not. And I guess I get it, because he does have to soften it up, I guess. But as a fan, it's so hard to watch him go from murdering people to pillow fighting with them. Just not a fan of the idea. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some nerd on the internet talking shit. NXT was good, though. Nothing super exciting until the very end. We had a squash match with a guy with a sweet red spiky hairdo taking on Drew McIntyre. It was obviously a squash match, though the rando did get off a little bit of offense, which was good to see, because it's nice to see a guy as big as McIntyre get wounded a little bit. It obviously didn't matter worth a damn, because in the end, he throws a claymore into the poor kid's face and game over. We have the Velveteen Dream on, because they're trying to give him, just get him a little more introduced to the audience. Oh, sorry, get the audience more introduced to him and have that kind of further itself a little bit. And look, I'm not going to say I hate the gimmick, but I'm not going to say I'm a fan of the gimmick. My problem is he is far too gray. There's no black, no white, it's gray. He's not too far one way or the other. He has this tiny little hint of being super flamboyant and effeminate. He dresses in purple with the fro up underneath the bandana, and he's meant to be a diva. He's meant to be flamboyant. So rock the flamboyancy. Don't tone it way down to the point where it's only there when you pin a guy and you blow the camera a kiss and that's it. I need a little bit more than that. Or drop the flamboyancy altogether and write it some other way, because I don't like this whole little bit to none at all, and then a tiny little flash of, it might be big. No. And I'm sorry, the poor kid's been getting, I shouldn't say poor kid, but the kid's been getting super props online and from fans because of his elbow drop being amazing. Yes, he gets incredible height, but that's it. The landing to me is garbage. I don't like when you land an elbow drop on your hand. When you land on your hip and your hand goes flat, I don't care how close to over the guy's head you are. If it doesn't look like you dropped an elbow on the guy, you've just sort of given him a sideways body splash in a way. It's not an elbow drop to me, and I don't like it. I don't like that landing. I just don't. I don't give a damn how high you go. If you don't land it, it doesn't work for me. It would be like if somebody jumped off of the top and did a gigantic leg drop, but landed on their foot first. and then basically sat down from there. It's just a pointless step that really takes away from the immersion for me. I mean, yes, this could be me nitpicking, and that's not that unheard of, but it's just a thing. It irks me. It really does. Got an announcement that it was going to be Cassius Ohno versus Aleister Black, and seriously, guys, if you haven't seen Aleister Black's entrance, you gotta, because it's so good. So good. I haven't seen an original entrance in a long-ass time, so I really appreciate this one. The only problem I can see is there is a push for Aleister Black, and I bet he's going to be great, and I bet he's going to be phenomenal on the mic, too, though he hasn't really said anything since he came in. The problem is, can the guy get a fucking moveset, please? He does a backflip counter and sits down in the middle of the ring. He does a moonsault kind of dive out of the ring, and then he does a bunch of kicks. And that's it. The guy needs a fucking moveset. He needs more than just a couple of foot strikes. He could use some hand strikes. He could also use some forms of takedown/slams. He needs more than just a couple of kicks, especially if he's going to try to make it all the way to potentially being in title contention. Because when you're against somebody who actually has technical prowess like Bobby Roode does, what the fuck are you going to do? Just throw kicks at him the whole time? It doesn't work. I mean, at least Shinsuke has running knee strikes and various levels of things. He only has a couple of slams, but he also has really good technical foundation. Mind you, Aleister Black's only been... I almost said botch. Ha! That was a botch. Aleister Black's only done squash matches. Enhancement matches. I'm using quotation fingers at this point. Like, that's all he's done. So obviously he's not really going to get in there and do a match where he actually has to do stuff like takedowns, slams, technical groundwork, and things like that. So hopefully in this potential match with Cassius Ohno, we get to see it. Problem is, I have a bad feeling that Hideo Itami's going to interrupt it, leading to a feud between them, which is great, but what does that do for Aleister Black? I don't know. We'll have to see, I guess. Main event was a triple threat elimination match between Ruby Riott, the champion, Asuka, and Nikki Cross. And overall, the match was pretty good. It had, many, solo spot, get somebody out of the ring, and then they beat on each other, and then they split up, and then the other two beat on each other, and we trade off who we're beating on. Unfortunately, Ruby Riott wound up being the first one that gets taken out of the match, leaving it to Cross and Asuka to beat on each other. The beating continued to build its whole way out of the ring to the point where they wound up in the backstage area, and the ref, for some odd reason, in a match that really has no DQ or countout, didn't actually count them out, just went ahead and threw the match out, called it a no contest and everything, and the women beat the hell out of each other, and it was a great bit of backstage brawling for them. It was good to see that Nikki Cross could deal as well as take, as could Asuka. The only thing that was a little, to me was they found their way into the makeup area, and they're opening up coolers full of ice water and bottles of water and stuff, and they're trying to dunk each other. Asuka put her hands in way before her face even got close, to the point where I think she really only splashed a little bit of water on her face. She didn't actually get her face dunked in. Now, that could have been a personal choice. That could have been Nikki didn't want to push her all the way in. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't there. I didn't book the goddamn match. But it just seemed a little strange to me. And speaking of strange and everything, can we cut it the fuck out with the whole, I'm going to slam your head off of something, so you need to put your hands way up and make it very obvious that I'm about to slam your head into something, and your hands hit well before your face even gets close to it. It's so overdone and completely ridiculously projected to the point where it's like, I don't care how loud the hit is, I know it's bullshit. And it takes me out of it. God, just stop with it. There's got to be a better way. So they're brawling. They find their way back out to the arena area. They get up into the electronics area where they're standing on a table wrestling with each other for, God knows what reason. Well, the reason became obvious. Nikki Cross cross-bodies Asuka straight off of the scaffolding area that they're on, through a couple of tables and some cords and various BBD-bops down below them, smashes them through, and it looked like Nikki landed right on Asuka's head, which made me laugh. Not the injury or not the landing, but the fact that you could see afterwards they definitely gave the nod to, we're okay, guys, we're okay. But the refs and the personnel came in and immediately ran to Nikki to make sure she was okay, while Asuka, who's still underneath her, I might add, is still underneath her, and they're not even asking if she's okay. They're checking on Nikki like, oh my god, Nikki, are you okay? Really? What about the champion, guys? She's laying there. She's the one who went through the table first. She's the one who got cross-bodied. Why are we not checking on her? Anyways, sets up. Obviously, there's going to be a rematch at some point. The thing is, like, this to me is kind of I feel like it was a bit of a throwaway, but it was a good throwaway instead of being a cop-out, because Ember Moon's been cleared to wrestle, and because she's been cleared to wrestle, obviously that's the route we're going with. We're going to make it so that Ember Moon can get involved with this feud, because Ember Moon is the one who I believe they're building to finally dethrone the Empress of Tomorrow, aka Asuka. Which, I've heard people say that they would keep Asuka undefeated until she gets to the main roster, and I kind of have to agree, because that's going to give her a lot of mystique and a lot of intrigue leading into her main roster debut. And I'm hoping that if/when she gets to the main roster, they don't do to her what they did to Shinsuke and actually let her be her. Just absolutely slap people around. Like, I really hope they let her do it, because she's great regardless. And she's not actually that overly stiff. She's clean in a lot of ways that Shinsuke isn't. So she needs to be, or she doesn't need the stiffness as much. I don't think there's any way you can stop it, because she's not stiff in ways that are unnecessary. She's stiff in the areas where she needs to be. Little pause for the cause to talk about our sponsor. You're welcome. I'm just kidding. I don't have any sponsors. I don't know if I'm having a hard time pushing this thing up above 5 or 6 listens. So, and for those of you 5 or 6 that do listen that aren't me listening back to make sure it sounds okay and make sure it downloads and plays properly, thank you so much. Now we're on to money in the bank. I was out doing things, running some errands earlier, so I kind of missed all of the pre-show, but let's face it, guys, the pre-show is mostly just about what happened and playing the same vignettes I'm going to watch a dozen more times tonight. I did catch the midpoint of the pre-show tag match between the Colognes. Their name is Colon. It's funny. It's not that funny. It's just, I like how they didn't bother to try to change it at all or change its spelling or anything. It's like, no, we're proud of the heritage, and that's fine, because Carlos Colon was a big deal back in his day. So, it's funny. There's the Colons, the Colognes versus the Hype Bros, which I'm sure, given the circumstance, they were probably going, we're fighting the Colons? So, dude, it was actually a pretty good match. The Colons are ridiculously... I am not going to be able to stop myself from doing that at this point. I've said it once, I'm doomed. Absolutely doomed. I'm sorry, guys. You're a really talented group of wrestlers. You really are. Like, you work well in all departments. Your jumps are good. Your takedowns are good. Your submissions are good. Your strikes are good. Everything's good. You're very solid. I just feel bad because you're not going to make it to the top. You're just not. And it's not because your name is the Colons. Hype Bros win. Hype Bros, for those of you that don't know, is Zack Ryder and Bro Raleigh working together as a tag team and everything, because Bro apparently needed a little more charisma. And that's why we gave him Zack Ryder, which I don't get. Zack Ryder is very talented. I cannot deny that. And Mojo's not half bad. With some real fine-tuning, I think they might not be that bad. It's just the gimmick to me is trash. But again, oh well, I'm not the one who picked it. First match in is the women's ladder match for the Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, this is historic. We know so because they basically went, historic night, historic... To be fair, it was actually historic in that this has never happened. There's never been a women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So, I was excited. Charlotte comes out first, then Becky Lynch, then Tamina Snuka, then Carmella, then Natalya. And for some odd reason, while Natalya's in the ring doing her pointing to the crowd and playing up and everything, they play a video package describing or explaining how this match even came to be. That video package should have frickin' played before the goddamn match even started. Before anybody even came out. That meant the crowd had to sit there for that 1.5 to 2 minutes of that video package and listen to Natalya's music the whole time while the group just stood in the ring staring at each other. What the fuck, WWE? What is that? I mean, it wouldn't take away from the overall, experience or the fact that I paid money for the ticket, but if I'd paid money for the ticket, I'd be a little pissed off if I was like, what are we doing? It's like that scene in Family Guy where they watch somebody who does a flashback and they're like, what are they doing? Oh, he's having a flashback. Or a cutaway. And you can't tell what's going on because they're just standing there staring off into space. It's basically what it is. Like, somebody forgot to plug in the controllers, so the enemies or the opponents are rather just standing there. The match exceeded my expectations. Not that I had low expectations because there's a lot of talent in that ring, but I just felt like there were not going to be enough spots to make it feel like a ladder match. Like there was going to be a couple of silly spots here and there with maybe like cracking somebody with a ladder or maybe a fall kind of against one. But I didn't think there was going to be legitimate, like, actual ladder spots, except for maybe one off of there somewhere. I honestly expected Charlotte was going to do a moonsault off of it, but she didn't. I was amazed. I was glad because I was very afraid that might hurt somebody. And to go back a little bit to my can we please freaking stop with the spot of falling towards the rope and putting our arms out, but our arms don't go over it, so it doesn't look like we've caught our throats on the rope. We literally look like we just slapped the rope with our hands, and then we throw our hands in the air and go, oh my god, I got your hand. Why? Why do we do this? If you're not going to take the spot to the point where it looks like it did something to you, or you're not going to crotch yourself, what in the fuck is the point? It just looks so silly. I slap my hands on the rope and I fall down. Oh, it's so bad. Sell the fact that you landed hard on your feet off of the fucking ladder or something. Do something other than that, because this fucking spot happened 3 goddamn times in this match, and every single one made me go, ugh. Carmella wins thanks to James Ellsworth, her quote-unquote boyfriend, Mr. Captain No Chin himself. He went ahead and climbed the ladder because Carmella took a powerbomb from Becky Lynch. He climbed up, he got the briefcase off of the chain, looked around at everybody, and then dropped it so that Carmella could take it. There was an argument amongst the refs, like, but he wasn't in the match. That can't happen. And the ref's like, but she's got the case, so she wins. And then the ref was like, but he wasn't in the match, so it's not fair. He didn't, that shouldn't happen this way. And the other ref's response is, I rang the bell, and she has the case, so she wins. No idea where we're going with this at all, because now there's going to be, like, they showed that Shane O'Mac and the general manager, Daniel Bryan, both tweeted about how this is a travesty and we need to fix it, and that'll be the first thing we address on Tuesday on SmackDown Live. Which, alright, fine, go ahead, fix it, because it definitely needs fixing. And I gotta say, fucking Tamina absolutely wowed me in this match. Like, I did not give her any credit. I don't think I've given her any credit. I think last week I tore her apart. Maybe not apart. That seems a little more harsh than what I actually did. I talked some shit about her, and I'm not going to take it back because up until this point, she was kind of a nobody. She was known for a bodyguard, and that was it. But in this match, she's definitely the MVP. She took fantastic bumps. She gave fantastic bumps. She was great in the match. She did far more than I think anybody expected of her, and it was great because it made her look awesome. It made her look like a genuine contender, especially considering she fucking tried, and Carmella spent 2/3 of her fucking match out of the ring. She didn't take like a single decent bump until that powerbomb. She took a couple of tumbles here and there, and like one thing where she looked like she may have gotten hit by the ladder, but that was it. That's not enough. Like, I don't like the fact of a person takes one bump, rolls out of the ring, and stays out of the ring for the whole match. That's not a good... I mean, I get it. Maybe that makes them a bit of a heat magnet, but it doesn't work for me. They don't necessarily have to do a lot, but something would be good. Second match was the tag team title match, the New Day versus the Usos. And the Usos, being the champions, came out last, which I really appreciate, because that's what you do. The goddamn champions come out goddamn last. And this match was awesome. Like, I mean, these guys couldn't have a bad match unless they were really all phoning it in. And the Usos, now that they're heels and they do a little less of the jumpy and more of the ground and pound, and I love it. I absolutely love all of it. I love the whole thing. And New Day, I've always liked the New Day. Like, just the only thing that really bums me out about them is I wish the trombone songs would come back. Like, I like the fact that, there's the and everything to get the crowd going, but I miss when he used to play things. Like, he used to actually get out there and play songs with it, and I was like, wow, holy shit, he can actually play the trombone. That's amazing, and everything, and he just doesn't do it anymore. But other than that, that's really my only complaint as far as they're concerned. I do have a complaint with the officiating in this match because they let the Usos get away with some shit on the outside. Like, you better get him back in here or I'm going to start counting. No, seriously, stop doing what you're doing because I'm going to start counting. Why have you not started counting? You should have started counting as soon as you saw a couple of them go out. I mean, I get it. The prestige this is for the title. So we have to take it seriously, and we have to try to not let some silly thing ruin it. Like, try not to let them get DQ'd as best you can. and everything and try not to count out anybody. And there's a spot, one of the Usos went for a body splash, and Big E tried to catch him. I mean, to be fair, he did catch him, but he tumbled forward with him, and then he was trying to deadlift him, and that would have been painful. But it looked great that he caught him and picked him back up again and then gave him the big ending, which might have actually won the match, but it didn't. Match ends when New Day wins because when it looks like everything's all said and done, the Usos bail. They grab their belts, tuck their tails between their legs, grab their balls, and scream, "You guys, I'm going home." And they walk out into the crowd and get counted out. The last ending of Carmella winning when she didn't do a fucking thing, that kind of hurt. This was a stiletto stepping on my sack. That was such a bullshit ending. I get it. It's a way to make sure that there were no pinfalls and a way to make sure that everybody kind of looks strong, gives the heels the heel heat and everything. But fuck, a DQ from acting like a heel would have been far better than this to me. I know good old JR is going to disagree. He's going to say this was a good finish, and I'm sure Stone Cold is going to agree. But I hate to see a really solid tag team match just go like this. I do. It bums me out. But, oh well. They keep the belts because champion's advantage. It just happens that way. But the match was really, really good, so the ending doesn't completely ruin it. It just sort of spoils it a little bit. Match number 3 was prefaced by one of the old school "Don't Try This at Home" video packages, which, my God, I haven't seen one of those in forever. Did they think that people just stopped wrestling? Or is this one of these because there were ladder spots and there were things like that all of a sudden it's cool to be a hardcore backyard wrestler again? I don't know, but they brought this back out. They didn't really show the injuries so much as they mentioned them, and they did show a couple of spots where it looked like this person might have hurt themselves some way, but nothing too over the top. Anyways, third match for the women's title. Lana, newly, coming back from obscurity, and versus Naomi, who is the champion, and Naomi comes out first. I was proud of you, WWE. I was proud of you. You let the Usos come out last because they were the champions. And then the champ comes out first in your next match. Son of a bitch. Alright, anyways. I was super impressed with Lana in this match. I mean, she had this Eva Marie vibe coming in. Like, I'm thinking she's going to be all thriller, no filler. And, just, it's all about the way she looks and the fact that she's got them long legs and the big puffy red lips and the bright eyes and blonde hair and everything. But no, she actually does have some ability. Her primal shrieking started to wear on me a little bit until I remembered if you watch, like, Joshi, Japanese female wrestling, they do nothing but shriek and scream while they're doing everything. So it actually became okay. It felt like she was actually putting something into it. Couple of missed spots here and there, but nothing really painful, like, ooh, that was ugly, why did you do that? I don't really know if I'm a huge fan of her finisher, the hammerlock sit-out spinebuster, because it doesn't really make much sense. She didn't really work the back that much. She kind of just worked everything. She actually worked the leg, like, both of the legs. She didn't really pick one and stick to one, but she worked the legs, and it's good to see. She did some stuff that I was like, wow, I have not seen that done before, or I have not seen that done in a while, and I was just overall glad to see it. It was much better than I had expected. And I was actually okay. I can't really, no. I was sort of okay with the ending. Carmella comes out, like, making it seem like she's going to cash in immediately, but then by the end of it, she's like, no. I'm gonna save it. You're good. I see you, girl. I see you. You go ahead, you finish your match. Left the opening for a counter out of a second hammerlock spinebuster for Naomi to roll her up into. I don't actually know what this move is called, and I don't know what she calls it. I'm gonna assume it's something silly like the fucking glow lock or something like that, or feel the glow, or something really stupid like that. I can't actually diss the glow because that was what it was in The Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy, and sure enough, but still, Feel the Glow is kind of silly. Anyways, rolls her up, puts her in that, she taps out, and then Carmella walks away, skips away more like, we're good, I'm not gonna do this, we're good. I wasn't really happy with the Carmella interruption, because it seemed a little weird that a heel fucked a heel out of a heel win, but, I mean, whatever, it just was what it was. Again, I was definitely impressed with Lana, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her actual wrestle. Her talking's a little silly because I don't know why she kept the goddamn accent. She's not with Rusev anymore in this angle, and we've seen her with Ziggler not have the accent. Not to mention she's on Total Divas without the accent. So I just think she ought to drop the accent. Although at this point, whatever. Kofi Kingston did it. You know, you're making me crazy with a boop boop boop. Kofi, yeah, drop that accent. Probably shouldn't have ever come in with it in the first place, but whatever. Fourth bit, Mike and Maria Kanellis come out with what looks like a prom king and queen gimmick. It's actually got to be some kind of like, we will make everybody see that our love is the greatest love, and we will show everybody that love is the greatest power in the world. And I can appreciate that. Because when you loving makes for less than hard times, baby. No, dream. Fuck off. Sorry, guys, somebody let him out of his pen. Oh, that's hard times, baby. Stop. I was glad to see that these two came back. Well, I shouldn't say come back because I don't think Mike was ever actually in the WWE. However, Maria was. And Maria's lovely. And they spent a good stint in Japan and everything, so it's nice to see, you know, more of the indie talents. And I always like seeing like somebody who was there and then left or got canned because they weren't what WWE wanted. And then, you know, they made the comeback and everything was okay. I'm a fan of that. So, I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes. It's a lot of red, a lot of love talk, and they're mushier than... They could be replacing Miz and Maurice as some kind of heel power couple, because Miz and Maurice are on rocky roads, you know. Yes, hard time, baby. Dream. Fifth is the world title match between Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal. They introduced the fact that Orton's got some family and some of his old friends out there on the ringside ready to watch him wrestle and beat the foreign bad guy. Introduced Greg Gagne, Larry Hennig, Baron Von Raxey, who I've never seen before, Sergeant Slaughter, his father, Cowboy Bob Orton, and then Ric Flair in the audience, there to watch, you know, watch the match. And I'm not stoked, but I want to see, you know, where they go with this match, because they make it seem a little too obvious that Orton's going to lose, but they also make it seem like there is a slight chance he might win. Though I don't think they're going to bury Mahal that heavily that quick, at least not until John Cena comes in. Then they be getting the shovels out quick. Baby. So I'm waiting for the old, I hear voices in my head, they talk to me, they understand that the champ shouldn't come out first, but he did anyways. Fuck me right in the face. Are you kidding me, WWE? They're just doing it on purpose now. They're just doing it to fucking spite me. I know they are. Like, there's some fat, stupid guy who's running his mouth, and we're going to show him because he gives a damn about something this petty. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the leaders and the champions out first. Fuck you. But then Orton came out, and we had a moderately decent match. It could have been worse, but it definitely could have been better. But on the same token, it wasn't. This event was not about their championship match. It really wasn't. Like, they tried to hype it up with the whole, like, Mahal saying he's going to embarrass Randy in front of his family. And, you know, Orton being like, I'm going to give you the old-fashioned Orton beatdown, boy. But it just, not a bad match. Jinder won, hit him with a Colossus, retained his belt and everything, which I kind of, like I said, I had a feeling was probably going to happen. I predicted it mainly based off of the fact that our good buddy John Cena is coming back to save the day. He's going to go beat up the foreign guy who's really scary to everybody because he's foreign. What the fuck? We really couldn't come up with something better than this. Sixth is the piss break match, I guess. Breezango versus who they are currently blaming for their for messing up their locker room and everything. And out comes the Ascension. Speaking of digging your way out of obscurity, it was good to see the Ascension again, but this match really did nothing to further anything with them. It was more of a fluff piece for Breezango to look funny and look good and everything like that. Honestly, I may have blinked and missed the ending. That's how abrupt it was, and honestly, how little attention I paid. And that's on me. Sorry, guys. Getting old. I'm kind of lazy. And sometimes these piss break matches annoy me to the point where I just don't pay attention. It's usually when I'm getting up to go grab a beer, or get a snack, or do anything else. Finally, we have your main event, the Money in the Bank match, which is Corbin, who I always want to call Corbin Dallas, but he's Baron Corbin, versus Shinsuke Nakamura, versus AJ Styles, versus Kevin Owens, versus Sami Zayn. Zayn's. Multiple Sami Zayns. Fucking so stupid. Sami Zayn and Dolph Ziggler. As they're all making their entrances, Nakamura comes out, and all we have left is Baron Corbin. Corbin comes out before Nakamura really gets to fully embrace his entrance and beats the shit out of him, and he ends up getting taken to the back, quote-unquote, injured. This match was definitely a 4.5-star match. It was great. A lot of fantastic ladder spots, a lot of really great bumps here and there. I mean, I know that sounds bad to be like, they need to make really great bumps or otherwise it's a bad match. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. More of what I'm saying is the match needed excitement. It needed that little bit of, it had to be more than just, I'm going to put this ladder in my hands and I'm going to smack you with it. And then I'm going to take this ladder, set it up in the corner, and I'm going to Irish whip you into it a couple of times, and that's it. We don't need people going through ladders all the time, but Kevin Owens still did. Kevin Owens took like 3 or 4 or 5 spots where he got borderline murdered by getting a half and half suplex on the outside from Sami Zayn onto the goddamn apron, because that was necessary. Holy shit. He took a Death Valley driver from AJ Styles from the apron onto a ladder that was set up. Got just absolutely devastated. And I feel bad because the guy really didn't do much in this match. He was kind of there as just to be a face in it. I mean, he is the U.S. champion, so it's not really like he needed this match. And though it was nice to see that this match didn't need Nakamura in it to really make it good, because it didn't, because fucking AJ Styles made this goddamn match. Like, everybody else was this way or that way, or, maybe a little bit softer in this department, but really good in this department and everything like that. AJ was 110% the whole goddamn time. Just, God, is that guy good. And though I was happy to see the way the match was going, and I actually I liked the idea of we're going to beat up Nakamura so he can't be in the match kind of a thing, because I said before, I didn't want him in the match anyways. His championship match should be special. So him just getting the case or whatever doesn't work. Likewise, though, we should just stop having him on TV every week. We just should. He needs to be an attraction. You can do it with Brock goddamn Lesnar, who is a third the superstar worldwide, as Shinsuke Nakamura is. The man is gigantic in Japan, and he's only getting bigger in this. Well, he makes a comeback after we're like midway through the match, and when he came out, Corbin was ready to hit him with a ladder to throw it over the top rope. He had it all prepped up, and right when his music's about to hit that fucking crescendo, they cut it because he throws the ladder out of the ring and Nakamura slides in to start cleaning house. As he's cleaning house, the crowd is singing his theme, and my God, the crowd was great tonight too. Oh man, you should have seen the hair standing up on my fucking arms when this happened. Like, I love Nakamura's theme, but part of it is feeling the energy from him and the crowd. The fact that it just feels like they just embrace him. It's so good, and it felt great. It made me kind of kick myself for saying I wish he wasn't in the match, because he was in the match, and fuck did I ever enjoy it. I mean, he's handing out knees and punches, and he definitely added a good level to it, especially being a good foil for AJ Styles. But he just wasn't going to dethrone the fact that, for me, Styles was the MVP of this match. I'm going to give Kevin Owens a second on that one, like a second place silver, if you will, because the fucking guy may not have done much, but Jesus, did he get the piss kicked out of him for what? The notoriety was how many spots he took, more so than how many spots he gave. So, in the end, AJ and Nakamura are fighting each other on the ladder. Baron Corbin comes in, pushes them both off, and then climbs the ladder and takes the case. And between him and Zayn, it was a 50-50 for me as to which one should have gotten it. This more or less points to, since he is a big-time heel, he's going to be taking on our good buddy John Cena, our savior, when he inevitably beats Jinder Mahal, because I can't imagine Mahal going face enough to take on Corbin for it. So, I mean, I was also a little disappointed that there was no end of days spot for Corbin. Like, he didn't do it once. Not on the outside, not on the inside, not to a standing ladder, not onto a ladder laying down or anything. Nowhere. Just didn't do it. He did, however, catch Ziggler off of the apron and give him a deep 12. I know it's supposed to be a deep 6, but this was so much more than that. Just full 2 rotations and dumped him on the outside, and it was amazing. AJ was left hanging on to the briefcase at one point because Ziggler took the ladder out from underneath him, and he took a monstrous shoulder/face bump on the way down. It was so clean, and that absolutely sealed the deal for me. That made him MVP. I'm sorry that you have to basically kill yourself to make MVP in my eyes, but fuck. It was so good. It made me, I was so happy compared to the fact that all three of the shows this week were kind of meh. And NXT was good, but the whole thing was just really lackluster. And the ending to all three of the shows was really kind of just bleh. Could have been worse, obviously, but all in all, I think I would probably give this a B-, maybe a C+. It's tough. I'm in a good enough mood, and I enjoyed it enough to be like, I feel good about liking wrestling tonight, even though there were some bullshit endings in the beginning. But overall, match quality was good. I had a lot more surprises and enjoyed a lot of things more than I expected to, which I guess is probably what's going to lead to giving it the grade that I gave. I mean, obviously, people can disagree, and I mean, who knows? I may look back on it again later in the week and be like, wow, I'm an idiot. That was nowhere near that high. It was a fucking C at best. But for right now, I'm going to give it a solid C+, B-. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. No, you really haven't, but I did say last week that I was going to do my first top 5, and here it is. Top 5, where are you? I miss you so much, wrestlers. Now, these can be for basically any reason. Retiring, injury, death, sadly, and there's a couple of them. Number 5, Scott Flash Norton, the big man who did big work over in Japan. Like, he was an absolute monster, had a huge impact on the way I liked to wrestle when I was wrestling back in the day, and just amazing with his lariats and his power bombs, and he was such a brute. And I miss it. Now, the funny thing is, he apparently still makes the occasional showing over in New Japan, which I was not aware of. So I might actually have to find a way to dig up some of that to see him, even though I'm sure he is no longer as amazing as he once was. But even so, it's nice to know that even though I'm like, where is he? Why isn't he wrestling? He actually is. So, foot in mouth. Number 4, Mike Awesome. Died February 17th, 2007 due to suicide. Poor man was found hanging, and really it was probably because he had gone into real estate after making a semi-permanent retirement from wrestling. Had a big match on the ECW One Night Stand where they revamped the ECW brand, WWE did, and his match stole the goddamn show. Like, I watched that event, and I marked out harder for that than I've marked out for wrestling in a long-ass time. Him and Masato Tanaka always put on a 5-star show, and it was just so good to watch. But he apparently felt slighted, felt a bit like he didn't get paid enough for that. So was like, I'm done wrestling, but I will wrestle again if the price is right. I guess the price was never right because he never did, and unfortunately. Number 3, that Latino heat, Eddie Guerrero. I could say a billion things. I could take up an hour podcast just talking about how great Eddie Guerrero was. The man was super influential in so many places and was just amazing. I loved and hated him in WCW, and when he came to WWE, I could not have been happier. His Latino heat angle with China was a bit but it could have definitely been worse. It was good for some comedy segments, and it was interesting, especially considering he was nowhere near as big as she was, but it wasn't bad. And as he got older, he just got better. I spent all this time talking about how much I don't like Brock Lesnar, but when Brock Lesnar was at his peak and everything, he had a match with Eddie, and it was the first time I was like, you know what? I genuinely believe a tiny guy can beat this monster, because Eddie Guerrero beat him for the belt, and it was amazing. He, unfortunately, died to heart complications on November 13th, 2005. What a terrible day that was, because that happened around the same time as Chris Benoit. The fucking wrestling's Voldemort. Number 2, Dean Malenko, currently retired, working behind the scenes stuff with WWE. The man was a technical wrestling god. His chain wrestling and his combos of working limbs, so good. And I've always loved the Texas Cloverleaf, and it was one of my mainstays when I wrestled, and I always loved watching him, even in the cruiserweight battles where it was all fast and flippy floppy, crazy shit. He did a couple of things. When you see a guy pull a fireman's carry into a single knee gutbuster, jumping off of the top rope with somebody, that'll change your opinion on what wrestling is. That was incredible. And, I mean, I miss him because I miss seeing that kind of technical prowess, because nobody really does these days. It doesn't work for the audiences. You'll see a bit in NXT, and you're going to see a shit ton of it in the UK shows, because these guys do it right. Tyler Dunn, I'm talking about you. And number one, Shawn Michaels. The man takes top spot in my favorite wrestlers, which you'll find out again in the future, because that's obviously going to be one. God, could I be any more fucking condescending to my audience? I know there's only like 2 of you, but fuck, I'm so sorry. I understand if you'd never subscribed in the first place, or if you unsubscribe at this point. I'm sorry. No, baby, don't leave, please. Please, baby, it'll be different this time. Don't make us such a hard time, daddy. Damn it, Dream. Back to Shawn Michaels. The man is the single greatest in-ring performer ever. You're free to disagree with me on this one, but I fight you to the death for it. Because, god damn it, the man was legitimately a fine wine. He got better with age. He was incredible when he was younger, and he was on drugs, and he got even better when he got off the drugs and got onto the Jesus. He was amazing. His retirement is supposedly permanent, but I really feel like if there was the right scenario that could really work, I feel like he could make a comeback, even just for one small program. Honest to Christ, I wished he'd come back and he'd been the one to retire The Undertaker, because they have had nothing but life-changing matches. So why not make the guy who's had the greatest matches with The Undertaker, why not make him the one to retire The Undertaker? Oh, I know why. Because we're fucking idiots, and we're going to try to cram Roman Reigns down everybody's throat. Like, we're going to do everything possible. He's going to win the title. We don't give a damn. He's going to get the shit kicked out of him by Brock Lesnar and make a comeback. Not going to give a damn. He's going to take out the monster Braun Strowman, who is trying to take him out to the point of almost killing him. Nobody's going to give a damn. He's going to win the Royal Rumble. Nobody's going to give a damn. He's going to beat Triple H. Nobody's going to give a damn. They're going to try everything they possibly can. Hell, I'd be surprised if we didn't see him win the Royal Rumble again. Nobody's going to give a damn. It's just, you're not going to. And the fact that they just keep going with it just irritates me. Like, nothing makes you look more like a crazy, stupid cunt than continuously pushing this agenda that is not going anywhere. For fuck's sake, Vince, listen to us. I know it's going to hurt your pride. It actually may drive you to jump off the top of the WWE headquarters in Connecticut. I'll catch you, baby. I will, because I love what you've done for the sport. But then you turned it from sport to entertainment, and you stopped caring about the in-ring part of it to the point where, why? If you don't care about the in-ring wrestling, why do you even have a say in pushing who gets pushed? It makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. Maddening is what it is. Well, everybody, I think I did a fairly good job wrapping this up in a nice little package. And I actually did it far quicker than I had expected to. I was honestly thinking this was going to be an all-nighter. Mind you, I still have to edit. That's fine. I'm doing this because I love wrestling. And I love the fact that I have people that will listen to me talk about how much I love wrestling and how much I hate that goddamn old bastard running the fucking show. Sorry. And seriously, I hope that some of you, some of my excitement might rub off onto you, and you might enjoy wrestling too. And if you haven't enjoyed wrestling in a while, maybe give it a shot. You might find something that you like. Then again, you may hate it more than I do, and that's okay too. Just so long as I don't grate on anybody too bad, I don't upset people with my views, because you have to understand, this is an opinion piece. You're free to give yours, but I'm giving you mine. And for those of you that do listen to this, I appreciate it more than words can say. And I mean, when I do finally get a sponsor, you're going to hear about it. And when, like, the numbers start piling in, because they got to. I mean, come on, I'm giving you gold. And who knows, maybe I'll actually try to keep Dream away. Or maybe you like Dream. I don't know. Anyways, you can look forward to... Oh, wait. I really wanted to apologize, because I did say I was going to do a breakdown of the week's events, or the week's television, and then do another one talking about the event that happened this evening. But they kind of had to blend together, because I'm sorry, but the TV this week sucked. It really sucked. Hopefully this next week is going to be much, much better. then I'll actually have more to talk about. At the very least, I'll have more, exciting things to either A, complain about, or B, be like, oh my god, guys, did you hear? But I'm going to try not to be too much of a gossip channel, though I am going to... Why am I saying channel? Holy fuck. Getting way ahead of myself here. I'm going to try to not talk too much gossip just because I don't want... I know those of you that actually know me are laughing hysterically right now. Like, Josh, not gossip? That'll never happen. But in this case, I don't want to be gossip because I want to actually stick to stuff that's more truthful, like the way I feel about the product. Spoilers. It's garbage. That's not fair. It's not actually garbage. If it was garbage, I would have completely stopped watching it. But I still watch it because I still love it. It's a huge part of my life, and it's going to continue to be. And nobody's going to tell me otherwise, including those idiots who are like, you know that shit's fake, right, bro? Is it? Is it? Anyways, my rant is over, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I really wish I had more things to be like. If you liked it, leave a comment. You can actually leave comments on SoundCloud, so if you would like to, please do. Though there's only like 2 of you actually following me on there. Which, seriously, if you haven't made a SoundCloud account, why? You should make one, and you should follow me, so you can get notified when I drop one of these every week, so I don't have to drop 65 of them on Facebook and beg and plead and talk about how that's hard time. 'Cause seriously, baby, I come to your house and I tell you all about them hard times. I might even show you. I'll pull out the cow rope, and I told you I'd let him out. So your homework, your mission, rather, should you choose to accept it, is to make yourself an account on SoundCloud so that you can follow me and continue to listen to this grade A program. Because despite what people in the background might say, it is grade A. Okay, fine. It's like grade C. There's far better production value and everything like that. But goddamn it, I'm trying. You gotta go and make me feel guilty. Anyways, I'm seriously just filling time and rambling at this point. So I really hope that everybody enjoyed the show. To those of you that watched Money in the Bank, I wonder what you thought of it. Would you give it the same grade as me, or would you give it a lower grade, a higher grade? Did you have the same complaints? Did you have different complaints? I'm excited to talk to people about it to get their viewpoint. And Scott, buddy, I'm sorry that you missed it. We'll have to do one of these in the near future. Yes, that's right. I just gave a shout out to Scott. He's the other person who was supposed to be on this podcast as a semi-full-time member. Another one is my buddy Dan. Shout out to Dan. And shout out to Matt, my first official Can I Come on the Show guest. And I will have him on here because he's been a wrestling fan for a really long time. I've known him for a long time. So it'll be fun to get more views and opinions on the show. And shout out to everybody else that listens that maybe isn't necessarily interested in coming on the show. But thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting this. And thank you for not supporting somebody else that's doing the same thing as me. Yeah? So until next week when I give you another... Let's see, I think I'll give... In honor of everything, I'm going to give you guys another super kick of audio next weekend. And I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. So until then, this is your host, Mr. NSFW, with Muta Scale Radio, where you don't have to bother gigging because we cut deep. Good night, everybody.